Yo, YouTube, the wait is over, finally, man. The news we've been waiting on like the past 8 days or 9 days or so is finally here. Prestinni is officially a Chicago Huntsman. It just became official a little bit earlier today, but it didn't go down exactly as everybody thought it would. So of course, this has been like an ongoing saga for the past week or so. I mean, dating back to the potential needed roster changes, you know, like the Huntsmen had been struggling the last few events, even dating back to CDL Atlanta. They lost to the Mutineers in CDL Atlanta 3-2, and then moving forward to the first online event, they lost to the Mutineers 3-1, and then in their home series online event, they lost to Dallas 3-0 in the semifinals, and of course lost to the Subliners 3-2 earlier in the tournament as well. So things weren't going the Huntsmen's way. They weren't having the success they were hoping to have with Gunless in the roster. So everyone was expecting the change. They announced that Gunless was benched. Then they brought in Jordan General, their substitute, to play with them. And he looked pretty good this week as a whole. So all of the Prestinni rumors really started early last week when iHoldShift said that he heard that Prestinni might be going to the Huntsmen and was just waiting league approval. And that kind of started a whole thing. Then Prestinni denied it. And then iHoldShift doubled down. And then on streams coming for more acting all weird, and then the news kind of went quiet for a little bit. Then yesterday, Jordan General wasn't playing, but somebody else was playing as General in scrims, and that's when everybody kind of realized and kind of put together that, okay, something's going down here. It's probably Prestinni. And then of course today they finally announced it. So that's kind of like the whole saga. Of course, within that though was Gunless and Maux, which of course made it even juicier. So Maux announced that he was benched and was really confused and felt betrayed and all of that. And now they trade away Prestinni. Supposedly, from what we know, Maux is still benched, and the Mutineers didn't get Gunless in return. So this wasn't a trade. It was actually more of a buyout. They bought out Prestinni and brought him onto the Huntsman roster. So from what we know when it comes to salary caps and things like that, it works like the MLB with like a luxury tax. So assumably the Huntsmen are over the salary cap limit. Bringing in Prestinni, now they have to pay a luxury tax to acquire Prestinni, while supposedly they try to find a new place for Gunless. So of course Sender and Hex tweeted out like their appreciation to Gunless, and it's just weird because normally in these situations we've seen so far this year is that guys were benched, not dropped, and you know, with a chance to still get back to the starting lineup, like what we saw with Enable, and like the whole situation with Zero early on and everything else. But Hex and Sender seem to be treating the situation as a for sure Gunless is out of here type scenario. Like this is a final ending for Gunless in his Huntsman chapter. So the real question becomes, what happens with Maux and what happens with Gunless moving forward, and how does this affect the Huntsman as a whole? So first of all, with the Huntsman, like I mentioned in the previous video, I think it'll benefit them. Prestinni is an extremely aggressive SMG player in this game. He's going to be willing to be the entry guy for the Huntsman, the guy that just hops in the hill first, leads the charge, allowing for Scump and Envoy to trade out his kills. It was something that, you know, none of the guys in the Huntsman felt that comfortable doing. Gunless didn't love doing it. Scump didn't want to do it. Envoy isn't used to doing it. And then, of course, then you got Formal and Arcitys with like the preferred AR situation there. So the role situation was a little bit of a problem for the Huntsman so far, and hopefully that'll help iron out some of those problems. I'm not fully convinced that this is going to be the perfect answer to everything. I think it makes them better. And like we saw, like Octane was talking about, like he tweeted this, and then Slack tweeted this as well. Like, what are the Mutineers doing? They get rid of Prestinni to the Huntsmen, one of the best teams in the league. They don't even get Gunless in return. Like, they're just straight up helping the Huntsmen, which again, at the end of the day, it could be a financial thing where, you know, they're taking a financial burden off of the Mutineers, which in that sense is valuable enough, I guess, for Florida at least. But we don't really know what's going down with Florida and Gunless yet. So we're going to definitely have to talk more about that probably on the podcast on Wednesday. But the names that we're hearing right now is potentially Awakening, who's been on that West R Parasites X team in the AM scene. It's kind of a name that's being connected to Florida right now, but we really don't know to the extent at which that's happening. It's just an incredibly messy situation right now with Maux and Florida's starting lineup now. So yeah, it's getting real awkward. I don't know if they thought that they were getting Gunless and then that fell through, so they said they were going to bench Maux, and Maux tweeted out. I don't know what happened there, and we're waiting on more information for sure. So Gunless situations, landing spots. Now that Mutineers didn't happen, maybe LA OpTic, that's one that comes to mind. Seattle comes to mind. I mean, Tej tweeted at Gunless, like with the GOAT emoji, of course. They teamed, of course, back in World War II together on Rise and won some championships together. So that would make a little bit of sense down there in OpTic. But do you want that many, egos together on one team? It would be quite the time if you are bringing Gunless onto that squad with the personalities on that team, to say the least. A lot of strong-minded individuals on a team of 5 right there. So we'll talk more about Maux and about Gunless on the podcast on Wednesday. Overall, I think the Huntsmen are improved. It should help them in the long term. And if you're a Huntsman fan, you gotta feel pretty good about it. The twins are reunited. Arcitys has his boy. Prestinni's back with his brother. And all the world's in a good place. Some people thought that General might play this weekend in the Seattle home series, but I mean, come on, guys, it's not happening. Even though they're only gonna have a few days of practice, like full practice as a squad moving into this event. If you play just imagine if you start General and then you win the event and you've already signed Prestinni, like what would happen? That'd be the most awkward, worst situation ever for General. I do think General's a solid player. And he really showed it this week in scrims where he held his own, looked totally fine. I mean, and he looked great last year on E6 and throughout the end of last year especially. And so, in my opinion, General deserves to be on a team. Like, he could go to Paris, he could go to OGLA and be a contributor on one of those teams for sure, and probably help the team win. But we'll have to see what happens with General as well. General, Maux, and Gunless are kind of the X factors and in the collateral of this move as a whole. So, of course, drop your comments down below on what you think about the move as a whole. Prestinni, how does he affect the Huntsmen? What does he bring to the table in your opinion? And then where's Gunless going? What's happening with Maux down in Florida? And what are they all going to do? So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, like, comment, favorite, subscribe. I really do appreciate the support. I'm trying to do this full time, and I cannot do that without you guys. So I really, really do appreciate it. But as always, guys, I'm your boy Salvation's Elite. Thanks for all the support, and we'll see you next time. I'm out.